Hi, this is Zak Mir with an early edition of the Bulletin Board Heroes here on Share Talk for Tuesday, the 11th of September. Starting off with Alpha Growth, where we hit the nominal 3 pence technical target yesterday. Looking for or to see if there's any further upside. Looks as though we could head as high as a fresh rising trend channel there drawn from April, heading towards 4 3/4 pence. That target particularly valid while we hold above last month's intraday peak at 2.5 pence, only back below 2 pence on the floor of this channel, really questioning the ongoing bull scenario. Stock which has gapped up yesterday and held a gap, that bear trap gap reversal from July as well, is GAN PLC. Nicely resting above the 50-day moving average and the floor of this April rising trend channel at 64 pence. Clearly why we hold above the 60 pence area, looking for further upside. Best case scenario target here as high as 100 pence at the top of that April trend channel. If you're cautious on the shares, maybe you want to see an end of day close back above 70 pence, which is August intraday resistance before pressing the buy button again. But it looks like we've just copied what we did in July with a bear trap gap reversal for the start of September. Stock which is looking quite intriguing indeed is Innovaderma, where we have overall this great extended basing formation, mostly hugging the 50-day moving average. I like this gap from the 50-day line at the beginning of last month, held a big gap and held very confidently ever since. And then obviously yesterday we had the clearance, and yesterday's price action almost wholly above the 200-day moving average at 150.96. The view at this stage is that at least while we're above the 200-day line, and especially while we are above that, we've got a best case scenario target over the next 2 to 3 months as high as 240 pence. Very nice saucer shaped reversal here after the gap, and overall an extended base suggesting considerable strength in the price action. Stock which I think I've covered just once, taking cue from somebody on Twitter, is Predator Oil and Gas. Nice, what I call a V-shaped bull flag, or a U-shaped bull flag perhaps, at 5 pence here, and while we're above 5 pence, looking for a target as high as 8 3/4 pence, which would be the top of the May rising trend channel that I have drawn earlier. Any dips towards the 5 pence zone initially regarded as a buying opportunity, and only really back below, let's say 4.5, which is the floor of this channel, questioning the ongoing buy scenario here. Saw Share Talk blowing my trumpet on my behalf on as far as Regal Petroleum is concerned. I can take credit for it because it was basically a fundamental buy by one of the leading Twitterati. But the recent story here has been the gap through the 50-day moving average at the end of July, one of my favorite signals, and just breaking this line of resistance at 35 pence, which I was suggesting that the shares needed to do to give us a new leg to the upside. We've got that, and obviously holding above 35 pence now, we've got a new notional target here as high as 65 pence, which has been we've been waiting for a while now, maybe to be triggered, but it looks as though that's now in play. And 65 pence valid really while we hold above the 50-day line at 28 pence as a trailing stop loss. RSI bounced off neutral 50 as well to stand at 57, which is also a plus. Another stock which was in focus last week, I think it was a request from one of my followers on Twitter, comes in the form of Serica Energy. I was looking for support to come in at or around the 70 pence level, which is the floor of this gap from August. I think the lowest we've had since is 72, which is a show of strength, and we've remained above the 50 and 200-day moving averages. They've just gone into a golden cross buy signal as well, which might explain why the shares jumped so nicely yesterday. And we're looking for a top of February trend channel target as high as 110, 115 over the next few weeks and maybe a couple of months for the shares. There's also, as in the case of Regal, a near-term trend line break from the beginning of last month through around 77 pence. So while we hold above that, especially we would be quite confident of a new move to the upside. A couple of more to close today. First is Tern, which I believe, according to some reliable information I looked at just on the last week on the break of that trend line, effectively a falling wedge breakout there around the 17-18 pence level. Just homing in now on the 50-day moving average of 23 pence. But it looks as though the shares have done enough to get back into the mid-30s at least, with an end-of-day close above the 50-day line confirming such a scenario. Stock at the moment, probably once again, UKOG, still stuck in this triangle here from at the beginning of the year, 2.5 on the resistance line and 2.1 with the 50-day moving average. So obviously, depending on what your view of the stock is, wait for a breakout on either side there. With the momentum provided by the RSI, though, and the bounce above RSI 51, we'll be looking for an end-of-day close above 2.5 over the next few sessions, and that leading towards the long-awaited and long-promised 3.5 pence technical target. That's it from me. More updates tomorrow.